yeah, so take the free trade issue, trying to do the free trade issue with Canada. It's with Canada, United States, and Mexico. Well, he threatens Canada with and then about the putting taxes on the cars, and then he goes and makes a special deal with Mexico, and then it's coming back and wants Canada to surrender its dairy and other things to be able to get it's underhanded, or it's a behind the scenes way of pressuring things and using that power behind the scenes. So you see the strength that he has, that he would do these things. You see the independence and how far he's going to go, and that as a person, if you had this chart, you'd probably do the same things. But you get this sense of not a foundation, of not stable, of not being able to provide it. I mean, the United States has not won a war. You know, like you could say they were involved in the winning of the Second World War, but they didn't win the Korean War. Every time they went to attack Vietnam, in the Middle East, they lost. Their helicopters good on things good. They lost. They didn't win. Of course, they never had home. Only even the one place where they had a war with Canada at its border, they lost that too, which is why Canada is where it is. So I'm wavering. I'm wandering around talking, but just it's much easier to deal with someone personally. If he were here and we're talking to him personally, we get some personal reaction and we'll be able to see how this works. His focus is up in the 10th house and out up to the 8th, 12th, 11th, 10th house. Not so much he's trying to avoid the personal things. That's his personal world. It's just there. It's not really, so it's going to be hard for him to listen deeply to anyone. So it's not likely the person that would, I don't know, it'd be interesting to think if he had an astrologer, but it's not likely to think he would let someone advise him like that. So, okay. Want to look at the angles. Just going to pull them up here. Send that up here. What am I doing for time? Oh, good. Okay. And then MC. Okay. Okay, here we are. Okay, here we go. So when we look at his IC, to me, the IC is the most important point in your chart. It's what motivates you. It's where you're coming from. In most astrology, it's your midheaven. It's a status. It's a position in the world. Where you stand out in the world is usually interpreted against that. It's not how I interpret. I interpret it from your IC, the personal motivation, where you're coming from. And most important, where's he coming from? He's got Scorpio on the IC. Had deep personal judgments and perhaps even anger or passions. He's motivated to fight for truth or against untruth. He's motivated by his judgments. He's going to judge when he's taking things in, as the things happen and take in, and it affects his upset moon, and he takes things in. He's going to be quick to judge what's fair, what's not fair, what's right, what's wrong. That Scorpio IC is motivated by business. Let's do business. Let's make a deal. Let's do this. Let's exchange. It's all based on trust. Well, yeah, someone's using power very freely and independently, based on trust, using the people, aligning with people who trust them, but continually dropping off people who stand against them. Anyways, that's the fixed. I'm motivated to do business. I got to make this deal. I'm going to make things happen. I'll survive no matter what. I'll take on challenges. That's a Scorpio IC. It's controlling. It's ruled by Mars. Mars is in his 12th house in Leo. It's proud. It's determined, and it squares this IC. So he's fighting to maintain his world. When there's something wrong, he'll act. He'll make the judgment. He'll act on his judgments. He'll act on his anger. He'll act on his passions. But when he acts on his passions, he can get into wrong relationships. When he acts out of anger, it causes enemies. So he's not very sophisticated in his actions. He's personally motivated by his impulse, by his action, and it's also, there's a stressful value. To his Venus, his motivation, as I see, is trine the Saturn and trine the Venus. So he picks up, that's putting out, he's putting out things aren't quite the way they should be. It could be better. This isn't, I'm not being content, I'm not being happy. It should be there. And when he starts putting things out, that's rising, it sees how far he gets it when he comes back, and nobody's responding because nothing's on the setting side. Eventually, when someone does this, when he takes it personally, and then it comes down, he gets mad, and he's going to push and do something more, and he's got to do it himself because the Mars is in Leo, conjunct as ascendant, but Mars is in Leo. He's got this anger, this rage. He has to prove it. He's got to push. He's a fighter. He's motivated to fight. If there's a battle, he'll just fight. But not likely to compromise because that Mars is in Leo, squaring the IC. Even to get close to him, to live with him, he's doing so many things that are powerful. How can you be bothered by the little petty problems of home and family? But anger and wrong judgments and wrong actions, his motivation, his challenge is to not take wrong actions or unconscious actions or actions that put out things that hurt other people. But as we see, he's motivated to fight by justifying his presidency, and he can do these things. He's motivated to fight against anybody he thinks is interfering with his lifestyle in America. It's funny, he's got a lot of the poorest people in the country supporting him out of his prejudice or fighting against abortion, about his personal things, get rid of the immigrants, fighting that. He's using that. But it's really going to be something that comes back to get him, or to bug, or could come back to bug him. Anger and force and pride. When he gets motivated, he gets pushy, he pushes a little too hard. That's the square to Mars, and it's angry, and it tends to be proud, and he pushes to such a degree that he isolates or alienates people around him. And then they try and damage control. He pushes past it, and then whoever still didn't adjust, he lets go of them and leaves them behind. The Scorpio is interesting because he's motivated to fight. He's motivated to compete. You're against me, you're with me. It's got that Scorpio in the IC. Motivated by passion, by sex, by competition, by trust, by business, by so many Scorpio things. Okay, you see it and you try to explain it. Words show so much. It's hard to explain it much, but let's just go to the, okay, let's just take this another step further. Okay, well, let's see, we take this another step further. We'll see this Mars in the 12th house. But Mars, it rules the 4th house, that I see, the Scorpion personal motivation, and it also rules the 9th house of one's understanding. So in his understanding, his worldview, his philosophy, it's impulsive, it's aggressive, it's military-like, it's Aries-like, and it's pushy. He pushes his understanding. His understanding evokes the anger of people's dissatisfaction and discontent. See, he does it. But his Mars is in a 12th, so he pushes it up, but he's pushing uncontrollable forces. Okay, so I just want to bring the rulership of the signs in a way that way. When we look at the ascendant has two aspects to it. It's in Leo, proud, conjunct the Mars. Proud and pushy, arrogant, forceful, assertive, but perhaps because Mars is in the 12th house rather than the 1st, he pushes a little more than is healthy, or a little more than is good, or a little more than is proper. His temper interferes with he's proud and he acts it out, but to a fault, because the Mars in the 12th. It's trying the moon. His identity, what's wrong with them? Everything's going along fine. Everybody's got with them. We're living good. We're living well. What's it? He sees that nice side, but the minute there's any interference or anything blocking, he has to fight it. He has to prove it. He has to control. So he controls his home as much as it's controllable. but he feels he has to solve everything. There's Mars in the 12th. But nobody will ever do anything well enough for him. So his expectations around this are this way. So on a personal level, he pushes too hard. He's assertive. He comes across so cerebral and so talking and so flaky. It's hard. If he didn't have money, it would be hard to imagine him having affairs with anybody. But the Leo on the ascendant, his personality is proud. I'm me. This is me, my way. I'm the king, the state is me. And the Gemini is going to push it for what it can. And even the moon and sun is going to go along with it. It's fire, it's proud. I'll play it. I'll play the game. I'll win. I'll go do this no matter what it takes. Got to be the best. So that pride around his anger, around his use of force, his appearance. He put out his appearance. So many people mocked him for his hair, the Leo and their hair, and their appearance. But he puts out an image, but it's not always being received as well as he thinks. He does what he has to do, but he pushes and he creates his own enemies. But his identity is abrasive. Not unsuccessful, but it's still abrasive. Okay.